asked him. It was on HD and then something else, and I'm like, what the heck does that mean? So I clicked and it went off, and then the timer thing went off, so now it's just gonna record. Gave everything to Jeff, because he never knows if he's gonna get the agenda or not. So I was like, give me an agenda. And then I didn't have time to print one off. That's
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll. Amanda.
Here.
Diana.
Here.
I'm here. Yep.
Here.
Gary. Here. All present. Treasurer report.
Do you want to approve the April meeting minutes first?
Oh, I make a motion to approve that.
Make one.
Thank you.
I gotta have myself. Not treasurer.
So we had a previous balance of $179,649.07. We received $19,062.81. We paid out $7,255.33, which gives us a balance of $191,456.55.
Still here on my way through.
Craig, can you speak up, please? I can't hear anything you guys are saying.
Sure. Yep. Clerk report.
Okay, so I have a few things really quick. Let's see. First of all, our former clerk, Carrie Murph, passed away on Saturday. As you know, she was the clerk for over 35 years here. And the family has a request to rent the town hall on July 8th. I would like someone to make a motion to forego charging the family for that hall rental.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Okay.
Can we get flowers too?
And I'd like to know if we would like to send flowers to the family from the town as well, and what dollar amount do you want me to do that for?
I'll make one.
I don't know, what is a flower? I don't buy flowers.
Jeff doesn't need.
And it's just here, there's no, I don't think there's anything else besides just.
Okay, I'll put something, we can put something reasonable together and bring it here. So, okay, that's fine, just wanted to make sure that's okay.
Yep.
Thank you for that. Prepping is beginning for the August primary elections, so we started that already. Board of review was completed, statement of assessment was completed, signed, and already sent to the county. They'll send it to the state, so that's done, all good. And then, I don't have the last thing on my, we'll get to it. We got a letter from Wood County Planning and Zoning, and they would just like the town to be aware that when you issue permits, to make sure that there's nothing in floodplain or shoreline zoning ordinances. So I'll pass that down, you all can peruse that at your, I don't think we have a lot of that, and we usually do look at that, but that's just a reminder for us. I think that's it for me.
Okay. Building permits should be 3. I know. Shed going up on Dexter Wood with Bill. Jason Knott's got one going in, just a she shed that roll off, and tower on Highway X. New antennas or something.
We
Did
did,
you get that kind of resolved with the guy?
Yes, I emailed him, so that is a level 2 what they're doing, so it's, state of Wisconsin says level 2 is only $500, if they gotta go, if it's a different, I guess, stage to that, then you can go up to 3,000. I read through the or not the ordinance, the statute from the state, and that's what they have going, so it's, I told them $500 then.
I don't agree.
I don't really agree with it either, but if the state has a statute,
I know, but that's what that guy explained to us tonight, that's just the state statutes. He said if you have your thing set at that 2,500, they have to pay 2,500.
not
How can
according
you
to
go
the
about the
statute, that what I
You
was
can't, he says
reading.
that's the state statutes. He said, they charge 3,000 town of Rudolph. He said, whether they change a cable or freaking whatever they do. He said, it's what it is. He said, that's just the state statutes. He said, you can go, oh, no, it's your town.
Roland, do you know anything about that?
When it comes to building permits,
No, it's
No,
just,
like the
Cell
fees
towers.
for in the right of way. Can you go above a state statute as a town?
I would think if you have an established policy,
Yeah,
that's what they,
we do.
that's what the town of Rudolph does. They have an established price at 3,000.
doesn't matter at that point what the state statute is. I think so, as long as you have something that's established and agreed upon by by resolution to the town, you can go above the state statutes, you can't go below their numbers.
Yeah, we have it in place.
We already have it in
We-
place.
Put
Yes,
it in
and that
place.
was sent through, and then he sent me the state statute, which made sense to read it, but I don't know, if they're just putting on new antennas, I guess. I don't know. He didn't send a check yet, and I didn't approve the bill.
Put on new antennas, why would they even need a permit? If it's an existing,
Okay,
I'm just saying, if it's an existing thing,
sometimes they put those new antennas in, they bring in like a 150-ton crane down your road.
Down a county highway, it's not on ours.
Well, if they pull in off in, State Highway here and go down, Park Road to get to that tower, or if, once they pull off in that, they're on our road then. You know.
Doesn't matter, it's in the town.
I'm just saying, that's why these permits are,
Well, I understand that, and I read through the permit, and I told him, and he sent me that, and that was right to me. So, he hasn't, we don't have a check, we didn't receive a check, he hasn't even sent it, so if we have to, I mean, I'm happy to pass the email along, but
I'm not, I mean, we put in an ordinance for $2,500.
It's,
So we're gonna charge them $2,500 to change out antennas?
In case they have to bring in a crane or whatever onto our,
but the one in question is off of County Highway X. By the Jeremiah's Crossing Horse Place.
so that would be a permit that they'd have to get through our office.
that would go
So
through.
we couldn't even enforce that.
Well, I mean, the
In our
tower's in our
county.
township.
Right, it would be on a county
As
highway.
far as them bringing in crane or whatever, that'd be through the county. We don't know say what that.
Still in our town, still applies.
yeah.
Is it off the county highway?
It's in the
If they come up
township.
county highway onto any county or any town road, then it's, you know, the county's just giving them a
Jeremiah's
permit for their
Crossing in
road.
our
Yeah,
township.
so
So
we're
we're
charging
charging
in
on town
Remington.
road.
So your permit is for them to travel on a town road.
Yes, that's why we went through that one time, you know, me, Dan, and all of them, we raised all those rates, 2,500. But the other townships, and now we find out even the township of Rudolph went up to 3,000. I think in the next couple of meetings here, we should have discussion and raise ours.
And the 3,000 is the max that the state allows for tier 1, not
Mhm.
tier 2. So if tier 1 is 3,000, tier 2 is 500, is the way I read the state stuff. I could be wrong, but that's the way I interpreted it, and if I didn't think it was an issue at that, but we'll be happy to send another email if that's what it takes.
I say if we got something in place, they paid 2,500 before when they came.
Was it the same scope of work?
The fee is actually a permit, just like you get a building permit, it doesn't matter where it's at, what road it's on or anything.
I fully understand.
Yeah, so that has nothing to do with like working in the right of way or anything, it's the fee.
I didn't say anything about that.
I'm
You're not
just,
listening here, and we're supposed to hold this till after, right? We have 2 minutes at the end. You can say, excuse me, and I'll be happy to say, yes, what would you like to say? We're not doing this.
Let's just send another thing. It's 20, I believe it's 2,500.
I read that our permit does say 2,500, yes. But if it's in a different scope of work, which is what I understood it to be, I'll be happy to pass it to you, that's fine.
Alright.
So barring the cell tower one, that's it.
What would you like me to put in the minutes for that? Are you going to contact them again, or what's the resolution?
Well, I emailed back and forth a half dozen times, and keep sending this stuff from the state, so. As far as I'm concerned, they give us the 500 and we roll with it, and then if something changes on later, then we'll deal with it then, but as for right now, I don't know how our township can supersede the state statute for the scope of work that they're doing.
I will call the WTA lawyer on that, find out.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I will forward all the emails I have to you so you can see what
yeah,
has been happening.
Last thing for permits and licenses, I did give Scott Boyd, a letter outlining exactly what he needs to do, because alcohol and tobacco licenses have changed in the last year. There's more paperwork to fill out, and, I dropped that off this week and told him that I'd like it submitted by 6:15 so that I can get it submitted by 6:30, which is my deadline. Because last year he dropped it off here the day before without any money, and that's just not gonna work. I need to have it ahead of time, so, I used the fees that we agreed upon that are in our paperwork. But there is a lot of paperwork for him to fill out, and I dropped it all off with instructions, so hopefully we will get that time this year.
Okay. Roland, you kind of fill us in on this 50-50 stuff, please.
Sure. Thanks for letting me come and
Thank you.
address you folks, because, I try to put together something every year for all our towns, municipalities, and generally it's usually end of March or early April, depending on how the election years goes. And what I do is I usually take about an hour or so to explain, what programs are available for municipalities to use for funding, for highway purposes, stuff like that. And, there's a couple of options for towns to use. And one I'll address is probably the easiest one, which is the county's 50-50 road aid and 50-50 bridge aid program. And the way that works is towns are allowed to petition the county to preserve $5,000 for the road program. I'll start with the road, 50-50 road. Petition us to preserve or reserve, however you want to call it, $5,000 a year for a match for the towns on a road project. So, say for example, you want to pave one of your town roads, and you want to save up a few years and try to have us do that or have somebody do that. For the road program, the way it's designed is the county does the work. So what you do is you send in a petition. It doesn't have to name a project every year, just you can put in there to be determined. And what that does is that has the county reserve a $5,000 savings, essentially is what it is. And at this point, you can do that endless years. It used to be you were allowed to do it for up to 3 years, and it was only $3,000. We're beyond that now. Projects are much bigger. That wasn't much of a drop in the bucket back then. So now it's up to $5,000 a year. There's no limit to how many years you want to do it, and you don't have to name a project. But then the year you want the work done, then you can come and get us to help you put an estimate together, so you know what that project will cost. And what that does then, that establishes a baseline for that project. let's just pick, you're gonna look to pave a mile of road. So you've saved for 6 years, you got $30,000 in your account, come in and ask us and say it's gonna cost you, nowadays, it's gonna be pretty close to $100,000 to pave a mile. So you'd have $30,000 saved, project cost is $100. What we would do is, you know, if we did the work, we would say the $30,000 is 50-50 up to 60,000 roughly. So then anything over that would be the town's responsibility. So essentially what I would say is 50-50 of the first $60,000, and then anything over that would be 40, so you'd end up having to come up with another 40,000. Doesn't have to be that big a project, it could be small, but it's a 50-50 up until your match is used up. And that's where the county does the work for you. Then there's also the 50-50 bridge aid program, and that you don't have to reserve any money. That is basically you have a culvert that is over 48-inch capacity. And when I say that is, the pipe or pipes that are failing have to be the equivalency of what a 48-inch round pipe would pass. So there's some townships who have 5 12-inch or 3 36-inch pipes, and they failed, and they would have passed the 48-inch capacity. So those would qualify. And what you do is you petition to us, you want that work done. And if you do it in the year prior, for example, our budgets are voted on and approved in October. So if you came to us this year with a petition and say you have a road that you want to replace a pipe, we will give you the estimate, just so you know where it's at. We're not holding you to that, but it's an estimate, and you would say, we want to petition for this road to have this pipe replaced that qualifies. If we do that work the following year, or you do that work the next year, whatever comes in at, you only pay 50% of the work, or 50% of the cost. If it's an emergency, say you have a project right now, you got a road where the pipe has failed, you gotta get it replaced, you can come to us and say, we'd like to get this replaced now, we can do the work, get it replaced, we'll bill you 100% of that this year, because we didn't budget for it. But then next spring, usually within the first month, like January, February, we'll reimburse you half that cost. So
After the fiscal year.
that, in that next fiscal year.
Yeah.
So, the way I explain this is, the 50-50 road aid program, the county has to do the work. The 50-50 bridge aid program, we don't have to do the work, but in order for that to be approved, there has to be a couple things in place. One, if it's over a 36-inch pipe, DNR requirements are, there has to be either a stamped plan or approval from an engineer or the county commissioner. And then permits have to be acquired from DNR. So what we have done is, if the township says, you know what, we have a pipe, we want it replaced, it's on a live stream, we'll do all the coordination with DNR, we'll get all the permits, we'll put together the plan for it, and all that up front without any cost to the township. If you like to use somebody, a contractor to do it, you can do that, but in order to get reimbursed, you have to show that you had that information, or the permits are already approved, and you had a stamped plan from an engineer. So that way it qualifies, and we can put it in our record, so if we get audited, we can show that that was done, and somebody had approved that size pipe, somebody had done the permits and that kind of stuff. I just say that if you use us, we take care of that, it doesn't cost you anything extra. So those are two of the easiest programs to use, and a lot of times, there's a little bit of confusion because the way you have to petition and get that money preserved. And all I say is, if you got a question, just call us, we'll help you out, because the last thing we want you to do is think that you don't qualify and then you have to close the road because you didn't secure the money or the funding for it. Just call us, we'll help you out with that. A couple other programs that are available to you. It's called the Local Road Improvement Program, and a lot of people call it LRIP, which is the shortening for it. And it's town road improvement, and you have 3 different grant programs in there. One is your traditional, which if you have a project, you can apply, and it's a 50-50, and that gets approved from a local committee. So you can be nominated to sit on that committee as well. And what happens, it's the odd year that the budgets are approved, the Wisconsin Town Association meeting prior to, prior to the election that year, or winning the election year, that's non-year. So usually around April, maybe it's March, they elect that committee. And so what happens is, it's a 6-person committee, and generally it's a town chairman or a designee from a town, and they will do the local selection. So it's called the Albert Entitlement, so your town road improvement program. They will make that selection. You get your applications together, there's an estimate with it, a description of the work, and an application that goes online. All this we can help with. Our staff does this all the time, so we're very familiar with what has to be put in there. It's an online application. You need an estimate, you need some other stuff to go with it, a 2-year plan, and again, those projects are selected locally from a committee here within Wood County. And then that funding is available to you at 50/50, and they set the limit. So for example, Wood County gets roughly $140,000 for that entitlement program, and that committee elects how to split it up. And typically they split it up, they say, we're gonna allow 6 projects and no more than 1 approved per township. So what happens is you end up with about $24,000 to $26,000, which is, if I said earlier, it's about $100,000 a paper mile. It accounts to about 20% of what that project would cost. So
Is that, sorry to cut you off just before I lose it, would that cover like chip sealing and that kind of stuff, or is it just new?
It doesn't count, not chip sealing, but a double chip seal does qualify. They did approve that here recently. That is one of the things that, like Town of Cary got approved for a double chip seal. They're gonna do a double chip seal, but a single chip seal does not. So, but it also, if you had a bridge, you could apply for a bridge replacement as well. So then there's 2 more similar, they're all similar. Then there's a discretionary. And where the discretionary program works is the minimum size project to be awarded is $100,000. Say you got 2.5 miles of road that you want to rebuild, repave, and it's going to cost you $500,000 to put on gravel, pulverize it, grade it, pave it. You can put in for that, and that is selected from a statewide committee. And what they do is the local committee, the one that made the selection for the entitlement program, they will rank all those discretionary projects, and they will pass them on to the statewide committee. Then that statewide committee will rank them based on condition and how they come ranked from their counties. So you're competing against all the towns in that case around the state. The supplemental plan is so there's Tri-D, Tri-S. The Tri-D is a 50/50. The Tri-S is called a 90-10 program, but the Towns Association has elected to make that more of a 70/30. And the reason they've done that is the legislator said up to 90% of the project can be covered by the program. They can set a lower rate, and what the Town Association said is we'd like to spread this money around, so we're gonna make it a 70/30, meaning you're gonna come up with 30% of that project. And it works the same way as discretionary. It's gotta be a minimum of 100,000, and you get an estimate, they put it all together, the local committee ranks it, sends it on to the statewide committee. Wood County's been very fortunate to get a number of those projects. We will help, my department will help you write the grants, submit the information, come up with estimates, help you with narratives, all that stuff to get them submitted so that they're competitive. There's a lot of counties that do not do that. Their commissioner in their department either doesn't have the time, doesn't have the background in it, whatever. The way I look at it is, if I can help you get a project, I'm helping Wood County, because your roads are just as important as mine. If I can get one to you and you can be doing yours, that's probably gonna take some pressure off of some of our systems. So I'm willing to help everybody get some of that money. So those are the 2 programs that are probably most available to towns. There is another one, which I don't, Wood County is lucky, we've got a couple here, but ARIP, I don't know if everybody's heard of the ARIP program, and it's called the Agricultural Road Improvement Program. It's new, it was supposed to be a one-time funding program, but it was pretty successful in its first round. Legislators had said, hey, let's try this again. There's a lot of strings attached to that program, and that application takes a lot more energy, and what it does is it focuses on agricultural resources and roads that are being used to include to include forestry. So Dexter would probably qualify very well because there's a lot of county forest here, a lot of other forest areas that are logged, and cranberry industry is another agricultural group that qualifies as well. So if you have those industries in your township and you have roads that are being impacted or posted because, you know, the seasonal breakup or whatever, those are that's a good program to apply for. It's very competitive, and what I mean by that is you've got a much bigger project. I don't think there's a size limit to them, but I think the minimum there is like $150,000 to $200,000 size projects. But you need a lot of information. You need to get some specifics from those agricultural sources, meaning how many jobs are there, how many loads of material come in and out. Sometimes you can't maybe gauge it because of this forestry. You don't know. Are they gonna harvest softwood this year, hardwood, whatever? You gotta kind of do some guessing in that case. But again, the application is something we'll help you with, and try to get that put together. So those are some things that are recent and we can help you with. Then there's one more that's coming out, and well, actually this year was new, was the 6 to 20 program. So any culvert that's 6 to 20, that's a structure that's not eligible for local, or sorry, not eligible for federal funding. They call it the local small structure, LSIP, local small structure improvement program. So if you have a structure that's between 6 and 20 and it's critical or poor condition, it would qualify for that. You put an application in. I was at a meeting this morning with the Transportation and Development Association, and they said there's $30 million set aside for this fiscal year to replace those culverts. And those applications are due by early June, like June 3rd or 4th, something like that. So if you have a culvert, which the towns were inspected, and you should have gotten those reports. If you didn't, let me know.
We submitted 3 for LSIP. 3 culverts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you submitted those applications, all right, that's good, because, that money is gonna go to critical ones first, and try to start getting those replaced, and.
That was 48 still, right? They were bigger than 20 inches, weren't they?
Those have to be in that 6 to 20. If you got the inspection reports
6
from
inches, 20,
6 foot,
or 6 foot.
yeah.
Yeah.
6 foot, okay.
Yeah.
20 foot is not small structure.
Right, 20 foot, if they're over 20, then they're in the federal program, and those would be,
So we did the 6 one,
Okay.
we moved, the one.
Yeah.
On Dexter, because it was a one. Smaller numbers, so we put that in, if possible, to find out, but-
so I heard this morning there was $150 million already submitted for that $30 million worth that's sitting in that pot. So the needs are out there, and I would, if you got them available, I'd submit those applications and get them in. So if you need help with those, we'll help you.
They did say something at the meeting, didn't they, that where they're gonna put, like, they might make that 30 million last longer or whatever, they were gonna only give like 18,000 to each township or something to try to cover more.
Yeah.
So,
So if you had, say you had, I think they're gonna limit it to 2 per township, but those 2 would have to be in the critical stage. If you had 1 critical, 1 poor, they'd still award possibly up to 2, but they're gonna probably attack those critical ones first. So if you got anything that qualifies for critical or poor, I'd submit them, get them in there and try to get that funding. So if you need help with that, let us know. But the other thing I just wanna mention is that when it comes to doing work with the county, there seems to be a little bit of confusion. Everybody sees this as there's the common bid law where everybody thinks anything over $25,000 has to be bid regardless. the statutes say unless you work with the county, or unless you work with another township. So you can partner with another township, you can partner with the county. And you don't have to bid public work projects if you elect to work with another public sector. So I know there's a lot of folks out there who believe that because there's $25,000 bid law, that's if you elect to use a contractor, any project then over $25,000 is supposed to be publicly bid and open. But if you work with the county, you don't have to do that. And I tell people that the county's here to help. We're not here to take everybody's work away from private contractors. We couldn't do that if we wanted to. There's more need in the county than what we can help. But where we can be helpful is on, some of the larger projects where you need help with getting permits from DNR, an engineering study, things like that. More than glad to help you out. We can also pave for you if you're gonna pave some roads. We can help you in different parts. We've worked with townships who have a local contractor that has a quarry and they can spread gravel for them. They want gravel one and they want us to pave. There's all kind of options that we can help you. My goal is to make sure that you understand that there's no hard feelings if you don't use us. We just want you to know that we're available there. If nothing else, just ask for some advice. We can give you an estimate. If you don't like the estimate, by all means, you're welcome to go bid it and find a contractor. But what we have explained in the past, we've had some townships ask us for an estimate, and then they thought, well, that's kind of high, let's go bid. Well, then they bid, find out that their bids came in all higher than our estimate. So now what I tell them is, I can't compete with private sector, so if you do that, I'm gonna wait a year before we would agree to work with you to do that project. Because what's gonna happen is, private sector's gonna come and scrutinize me for taking work from them. So I can't compete with them. So if you put out an advertisement and you open those bids, then I'm gonna step back from that project for a year. And I'm fine with that. But if you just wanna contact us and say, hey, we got a project, can you help us out? Great, we'll give you an estimate. If you're happy with it, then you tell us, go ahead and do it as you want. So I just wanna make sure that you're aware of that. We've got a lot of other services to offer too, and I say this because you might have some equipment that you might need repaired. Our shop can come out here and take a look at it, and if it's something we can fix on the spot, we have a mechanic shop truck that come out and do that. Otherwise, if you can get it to our shop, if it's something bigger, we can help you out with that too. We sell gravel, asphalt, patch, salt, and if you have if you have granite roads that you want sprayed to kind of for dust control, we can do that as well. So there's a lot of things, and I don't mean to be here to take away work from your local folks, just so you know what we have to offer.
So if we have a road that needs to be graded and stuff, is there an hourly sheet, or is that just changed by fuel, everything?
We do everything time and material. So a grader rate, I'd be guessing off the top of my head right now, but it would be the time and material that the operators in the machine run it for you. One thing that a lot of our towns are starting to ask us for is vegetation control, and we have two rubber tired backhoes or excavators. One has a rotary head brush cutter, and the other has, it's more of a shredder, grass cutter. So we can sidescape roads. If you have driven Highway V 73 South, if you notice how that's all opened up through there, we did that a couple years ago, and we can reach up 16 feet, I think it is, and take down limbs so that limbs aren't in the roadway knocking mirrors and antennas off the trucks and stuff. And then when you started spraying roadside ditches, well, actually, we started doing that almost 15 years ago. What we did was we hired Washera County to come and help us do that, and we would do a third of the county highway every year. And it was getting harder and harder for us to contract with them because they were getting really busy. So we actually had a truck built 2 years ago, and now we spray our own. And what we spray is basically a grass inhibitor. So once it's sprayed on the grasses and broadleaves, it stops it from growing. And then there's a brush, herbicide, so if it hits a woody material, it'll kill the woody material. But what it doesn't do, some people get they think of Roundup. If you spray part of a plant with Roundup, it takes it to the root, kills the whole plant. Well, this doesn't do that. If there's a limb hanging in right away, and we spray that with the woody herbicide, it only kills the part that's sprayed. It doesn't travel back into the tree and kill the tree. And it's a very efficient way of getting through and knocking back stuff where maybe it's too wet to mow in the spring, maybe it's too wet, to knock it back more than once a year. You might have to wait till late year, and by that time it's so thick and brushy, it's really hard. We've been spraying, like I said, for 15 years, and now we're doing the entire county, in a couple of days. So we have that to offer as well. Any questions from anybody?
With the weed inhibitor, does it have to be mowed in the fall then? That was
It
just,
doesn't have to be.
we just had a company in today spraying for us, we're at work. And I was talking to him about that, just trying to get prices, kind of what it runs, to see if it was an option. And he said that usually the last mowing of the year still needs to be done.
You can, if you want it short.
Okay.
So what we do is we usually wait till, right, like now or end of May, where you get about 7 to 10 inches max, and then we'll spray, and it'll stay there all the rest of the year. The good thing about it is, if you wanted to mow, it's nice and soft and supple, so it's not like, if you know what it feels like to mow in the end of August, you got real fibrous material and it's heavy and it takes a long time to cut through it. If you spray it in the spring, it'll be just like that come the end of August, and you'll mow through it a lot faster. And it has some residual effect in that plant, so you might notice next year, it won't take off as early or won't grow as vigorously. So, and this is, all this material, all the stuff we use, you can purchase over the counter at any farm supply. So, there's been some questions, we have, I think we're up to 5 now, we have 5 certified applicators, and they're all trained on where to spray, how to spray. We don't spray over any standing water, we don't spray over any streams or creeks, so if there's a bridge crossing, there's a certain distance they have to stop spraying from. But it's another way, just another tool to cut back on, the amount of maintenance you gotta perform on the roadside.
Can I ask you to touch on that Whistler report stuff a little bit?
Yes.
Explain it to these guys.
So you're supposed to every year submit a Whistler report, and the report has 2 parts to it. One is any highway or any roadway improvement, so like new construction, any paving, major stuff like that. And then there's the maintenance side of it, so if you did any chip sealing, crack filling, seal coating, things like that, you need to report that, where you did that and the length in the road where you do that. And it's important to do that because that keeps track of your record. So, somebody down the road from now can go into Whistler and they can say, you can pull up one of your roads and say, when was the last time this was paved or crack filled? They keep record of that. But there's also, it's not Whistler, but it's the Pacer ratings, which it has to be done, I think towns are every other year. Or I think there's an even year, I'd have to look it up for sure, but it's every other year. And basically what you're doing is you're rating your surfaces. So town of Dexter has both pavement and gravel surfaces. So you have, if you rate them, you get basically you're stating what kind of condition they're in. And in Whistler too, I'm gonna go back to Whistler for a second, there's a couple other things in there, traffic volumes. So like if you have a road that you may not know exactly, but we could put out a traffic counter for you and let you know how many cars and trucks are on that road. And why that's important is if you're going to apply for any of that LRIP information, those LRIP grants, you're gonna wanna know that because that's part of that application. How many cars and trucks are on that road, the condition of the pavement width, pavement, shoulder width, that kind of stuff. And I explain this because if you're gonna do that, you should have that information available, the year in advance, or at least a few months in advance, because what happens is that timeline to complete those applications, it's a little bit of a moving target. So whenever the budget's approved, the DOT has a pamphlet that says, you know, there's a certain date which applications have to be into the highway department. But it also depends on when that budget's approved. If that budget gets approved late, they may not move that completion date. So you might only have a couple of weeks, or you might have a couple of months to complete those applications. But I tell people, if you're gonna submit one, you're thinking of submitting one, and you have that project picked out, the year in advance, you should probably get an updated traffic count. Make sure your pacer ratings are up to date and accurate, because you can't submit a project that has a pacer rating with a pavement rating above a 5. And if you're not familiar with that, that's kind of a brand new pavement is rated a 10, and something that's completely fallen apart and you know, out of condition is a 1. So if
Who
you can,
makes that judgment? Cause that's,
so, it should be somebody who's trained in doing it, and we do that, we have folks who do that, but it could be you. You can do that training yourself. There's an online YouTube tutorial to teach somebody how to do it, and one of you could do it, or you could have anybody here that's been able to, you know, go through that and know how to rate it.
I mean, just something like that to me seems very objective to the person looking at it.
It is,
So you-
and that's why it's somewhat, you should have somebody who's familiar with it. Because your 7 might not be what I grade as a 7.
Right.
But there's pictures in that manual that tell you this is what they recommend you should be looking at as a 6, 7, whatever. But you should have that information ahead of time, because if you wanna submit an application, it's nice to be able to have that at your fingertips and be able to submit that application, not to wait on that. Because we get calls all the time, hey, we're gonna submit this project, but we need our traffic counts, we need our pacer ratings, we need this and this, and there's gonna, you know, we have 30-some municipalities in the county, and we're gonna be helping 26 of them. So, you know, that can get pretty hectic at the, you know, the last minute trying to do all that. And if we can help you get that information ahead of time, and it's at your fingertips, a lot quicker to help you put that application together that way than it is to wait for the last minute. But that's important, because the Whistler report is something you have to file every year. If you don't file the Whistler report by a certain date, and it's December 10th, I think it is, they can withhold 10% of your GTA payment the following year. Yes, your road aid. And that has happened, I can tell you that. I know of a couple towns that has happened. And it's just because either some change in positions and somebody wasn't there to, you know, read the mail or get that information, or they thought they handed it off to somebody and, you know, just didn't get done in time. But it happens, and if you need help with that, our folks are able to help you out too.
So when you do our Whistler report that we hired Wood County, could you do the Pacer thing then, or
The pacer has to be done
the Pacer, yeah?
every 2 years,
Every
so
2 years, okay.
I'd have to check and see if your towns are odd years or even years, I don't know off the top of my head, but either way, it has to be done every other year, and yes, we can help you with that. Our Rachel in our office, what happens is one of our superintendents or engineer will do the rating, hand that to her, she can enter it for you, print you the report, and mail it right to you. I think we do most of the towns right now, I think there's maybe 6 or 7 towns who still do their own.
When I talked to, as I called Brad,
Bedhauser?
yes,
Yes.
and the way he made it sound when I talked to him, this was a few months ago though. He said if it was, the way I understood it anyway, was if you were replacing a 5-footer with a 5-footer, you didn't need anything. You had to tell them you were doing it, so they knew about it, but you didn't make it sound like you needed it.
If it's in a live stream, then you can, but you also need to make sure that you get all your NHI, which is your aquatics and endangered species verified, and then you have to come up with then you have to come up with a hydraulics and a pumping plan. So if it's a live stream, they want you to place that in the dry, meaning that you have to either bypass the stream cofferdam, pump, whatever, and they wanna see that you're able to do that. Cause that stream has to supply so much water downstream after, while you're under construction. They just wanna verify that you are passing enough water, sufficiently enough to keep the aquatics going downstream. But yes, you can replace in kind, but there's still some other things that go with that. It's not, like, what we do is when we replace a culvert, we try to look at the condition. So if you notice a lot of streams now downstream of that pipe, there's a big pool, big plunge pool. It's a pretty good indication that that pipe is undersized. Because it's getting enough velocity through there at times that it's scouring out below. So we have a couple ways of looking at that. We replaced a lot of our bigger structures with bottomless culverts now. And we widen that stream bed through there, allowing that, that floodplain to pass through. A lot of those pools are filled in and they're gone, you water get through there without a problem. And because we do that, and we've been doing a lot better job than a lot of other counties, which Brad will tell you.
He did say he was happy with Wood County.
What's that?
He did say he was happy with Wood County.
Yeah, before I came here, he wasn't. But, and I'm not saying it was me, it was just an education process, but we have an MOU now with the DNR, meaning that we self-report our wetland disturbances and stream disturbances. And we also do our own NHI review. So he approves it at the end, but we do all that up front, give it to him, and he approves it. So if you don't have that, you're gonna have to find somebody that would do it and get that clearance through Brad. And I gotta admit, he's been really good to work with us. We've had, in probably the last 10 years, we've had maybe 1 or 2 incidents where we had a release, something went wrong, and thought we were gonna get in trouble for it, and so we called him and told him, and he's like, "What'd you do?" I said, "Well, we fixed it, took care of it." Good, that's all I wanna know, because most people don't wanna report that stuff, and because of that, he'll stop out and check jobs, and he hasn't been on our jobs to check things, which goes to show he does trust what we do. But I just wanna let you know, we're a resource. I'm not trying to make it sound like, we can do everything. There's times we'll tell you, you're better off maybe contracting that, or, we're really busy this summer, and that's something we'll maybe get to next spring, and if you're happy with that, great. If not, we'll gladly let you know we can't do it too. But I printed out a couple of those slides. I know you were at the presentation. This is some slides that just talk about some of those programs. It's just some bullets, highlights, things that, just people want to know a little bit about. And if you have questions about funding and you have a project you're trying to accomplish, we'll help you point in the right direction. If it doesn't work, it's not that, you might not have been competitive enough. That's the way things are sometimes.
I suppose there's a lot of hand grabbing for any of that stuff.
What's that?
I suppose everybody's got their hand on that stuff.
Absolutely, yep. And that's why I encourage you, if you know you got a project or you got something coming up, the earlier we can help you look at it and maybe find the right program. You may wait for another cycle because we know there's some funding coming that's being set up for that, or it's a better competitive year for that. We might help you make that decision as well.
Sure.
So anything we can do to help you get money to do a project, the better off you are.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mind if I take off? If you need anything, give me a call.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Roland.
Moving on to the emergency management, disaster and damage aids.
Yes, so I submitted 2 disaster damage aid petitions, to the state through emergency management. One was for the snowstorm we had in March. I was able to submit the Wood County plowing costs for that one. And the other other was for the Meadowlark Lane culvert repair from also Wood County Highway, from the 417 torrential rains, with an estimated repair cost of $12,000, so hopefully, we'll see. We submitted them, we might get funds back from the state. So I just wanted everybody to know that I submitted that.
Planning and zoning, do you guys need to talk about that?
Would you like to give, just one of them give an update, or?
I can kind of, I guess, or whatever, so, we met on, for the wind farm, solar farm, and data center. So we had to break them up kind of in separate, wind and solar, are regulated together in the state. And, we got the state statute, but basically it says that municipality cannot restrict a solar farm or wind farm, that they have to consider each of them case by case. So that's what the state statute, that we have in the minutes, I can get it for you. But that's, in a nutshell, kind of on that. We had a big discussion on the data centers, of different ways to, discourage them. Really, they're looking at the township, I mean, they're, by researching it, you know, we had moratoriums that we could have did, which cost the township a lot of money for reports to try to keep them out for a year, so I mean, that was pretty much out. And the other thing is anything over 100 megawatts of PSC, overrides any local authority on that, so the PSC would take over and decide whether it was here or not. So really, our only, option was any ordinances. And I know one of them that's big, it sounds like throughout the state, is the 35-foot height of anything. And I believe our zoning already has a 35-foot height restriction. And the other thing is we do not have any land zoned as industrial right now, which it would have to be. So if somebody really wanted to do it, we would have to rezone it to industrial. I think that kind of covered everything, right? Well, and then the other thing too is, yeah, a data center is going to need, water, which we really don't have in the township, and they need sewer, which we don't have. And our comprehensive plan, encourages the township to, how did it say it, to defer these to like the larger municipalities that have these things, like Pittsville, Vesper, Rapids, Nakusa, and then there was just one other question I had on that for the board. In our, comprehensive plan, it shows in there that we have a separate plan commission and a separate zoning committee. So do we want a two separate committees, or, when I looked it up, it is legal to have both of them as one committee, but our comprehensive plan breaks it out into two separate committees right now. It's something to think about or whatever, but I mean, that's the way we have it written up in the comprehensive plan.
And you guys are working on updating that, correct?
Yes, so I mean, if we wanted to change, when we update it, we could have it as one committee.
I mean, that makes no sense. There's
It
only
probably
300
does
people,
for as
10
small
people
as
come to
a
this, so I don't
municipality that
actually
we
want
are.
to be on the committee.
But, yeah, that's how we want, then when we update the
A zoning,
comprehensive plan,
a
we'll
zoning
change that
committee and a
to.
planning commission.
So that's our
Those are two
recommendation,
things,
I
but
guess.
they said it's okay to do it.
Well, thank you for the information and for doing all that. Appreciate it.
Code of conduct. I made a motion to adapt that, or adopt, whatever.
Adopt it.
You prefer, yeah.
Oh, geez.
Second. We never had the reading though.
You all have a copy of it, and I sent it to you by email. I can read through it right now if you want me to, I do have it pulled up. I had it in the
gotta find out our state statutes for this stuff, and this, I thought we were gonna, last meeting, we agreed to throw it all out, so who brought it back in?
For what that?
Last meeting, we threw this out, because we didn't need this code thing.
Well, I don't remember that.
It was gonna be revisited at this meeting.
Well, then, let's revisit it then, the whole thing.
I heard it.
Why do you two want it so bad? Or why do you want it?
Because I don't think it should be a free-for-all. I think there should be some rules and guidelines to follow.
But you realize that code of conduct is what got, I'm just gonna tell you, would have been, would what got Dennis in trouble,
What?
because of the code, the conduct. You can't, we're trying to change, ordinances without board approvals and stuff like that. That's part of that code of conduct stuff. That's in there.
Would you like me to read it?
You have, that's the code, and it does, why would we give
Not what I read.
why would we give a chair, we're all three the same here, why would we give a chair all the power? We won't do that.
I don't think it gives me any, I don't think it gives the chair, whoever it is, anything extra, just basically. This is not to be rude to everybody, is what it says, 4 pages worth of reading, is what I got.
I think you guys are being pushed by somebody for this.
Being pushed for what? Where's the benefit?
Well, throw it out, we got the state statutes.
Why would we throw it out?
We got
It
the
shouldn't be a
states, we
free-for-all.
got the state statutes for code of conduct.
For one thing, honestly, if you want me to be fair and honest, because I don't think anybody deserves to be treated the way they've previously been treated here, so there needs to be some rules that apply.
Well, we do have rules apply.
That they're not being followed.
So, we have the state statutes for them.
That's a no.
That's a no for me, yeah.
Dexter Wood Road culvert, guess he didn't.
Okay.
Forgot.
Well, do we wanna do the 50-50 road aid stuff, or I do have, we did send in for money. I would like, I think we should wait and see if we get anything before we could get to
Oh, yeah. That 51,000, I don't think is gonna be even close, so. Now they got $6 fuel, they're gonna push.
So, I mean, just to see where we're, how we come out with our budget report and how much money we gotta spend on that one. But, if we got this ready to fill out, if you wanna, go for the 50-50, culvert.
I would wait as long as we can until we have to absolutely do something with it, because we have no problem spending money someplace else, and there's plenty other places to go with it. I don't really think we need to saddle everything on one right now.
Do you wanna get in the 50-50?
I thought we were already in the 50.
No, I'm in on 50-50 on the road. This is the 50-50 bridge policy.
So that's us just signing up for it.
Yes.
Oh,
This I
yeah,
know, we have to-
absolutely, yeah.
So that would be, the chair, we'd have to sign this tonight, because we gotta get it in by, I believe, July. So, and, the next thing we got is, I have the contract with, Strut Paving for, Park Road, to get that one this year. I talked to the guy, he's gonna stage the material down here. This one here is all, I don't know if you have it, but I kept a copy of it, we all signed it. So we should be,
That's that space age coding stuff.
yep, and get that Park Road fixed up. Do you have this at all, or did it get burnt, or?
I don't know what it is.
You might want a copy of that, I got a copy, so that's for that. He's gonna put some of the material down here, 2 loads, when they start that project. That'll be dumped here, and he said it'll be cleaned up when they're done. Next thing, we didn't get in this year anything, we didn't get anything scheduled for doing any crack filling or seal coating, or anything like that this year. It's getting late. We have to figure out how we're gonna throw some money at some of these roads.
Well, with some of the road money, that's part of like brushing and all that kind of stuff, right?
That doesn't count as, I can't remember, there's stuff for the road, but that's like there's a road improvement or maintenance. So like brushing, sometimes the tree brushing doesn't count as road maintenance, because it's on the trees. So it's gotta be something, I believe, for the Whistler report that we gotta do it has to be on the road, on roads. So.
So at the city meeting last night, they mentioned that they might do Ubinger Road this year now. Are you aware of that?
No,
Okay,
I just talked to Peter the other day, he didn't say nothing.
you didn't say anything?
Nothing.
They were just talking about maybe moving it up to this year, because Dexterville had the money. I went, what? So, maybe it wasn't at the meeting, it was just something that the clerk said to me today, and I thought, I'm not aware of us having extra money to spend on Ubinger Road this year, so
You didn't add that in, no?
I did not.
we do have 50/50 road money for that, but I'm sure we're gonna have a conversation with Peter and Wood County there, or not Wood, or Town of Wood and Roger Tritz and stuff before so we're on the same, because I know, when we talked about it, I'm just trying to think. I didn't talk to Randy, I put a call out to him, and, we talked this last winter, we have, like the grading is gonna come towards, our,
The improvement part.
yeah. We need gravel on Park Road in a couple of little areas, so, I'm gonna try to meet with him next week and iron out what we're gonna do, kind of, if you want. He can just grade it, but he said, man, we're so thin now that, so.
Can I call around on gravel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he said,
Right,
so,
yeah, if they're just graded, they shouldn't care where the stone comes from, that
Yeah.
don't matter nothing.
so if that's what you want, I don't know, I just.
Did you say grading and gravel on Park Road?
It's hard to say how much it's gonna take or anything, I was just gonna do some like light area patch where we needed it.
I'm just trying to
Right,
get
the thing is, now you grade it, and that's
Mhm.
the first time it rains, it's washed back out again.
But I think we should on this, we'll find out in July if this money came through for this culvert here.
Yeah.
And then wait till then and kind of see, because I don't wanna spend all our money
Right.
without using, cause if this culvert, we can get this culvert fixed,
Right. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the road's gonna have to be graded regardless, whether we put
Yeah.
$2,000 worth of stone on it.
Mhm.
If that $2,000 breaks us that bad, we got some bigger problems, which I think we do. But,
And you did complete road inspection on April 30th, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
I did put in or didn't go for any of the frog seals on the road or anything, since we're so up in the air.
for what?
For any like a sealant, frog seal or
Oh,
anything on it, I didn't put
just-
any, like I said, I was trying to explain on that sheet there, the different years and try to get their roads to last longer and stuff, so. I personally like to try to get this one culvert yet this year, but if it doesn't work out, it don't work out, we'll see where the money falls and how we're, comes out, so. It'll
can't
be like,
save money and roll it for U-Winger, I don't believe. Cause U-Winger's gonna happen regardless, whenever it hits.
mhm,
And we're gonna be on the hook for, what is it, the third? I don't know,
mhm.
but, well, we're not really in a position to anyway, because we got enough other problems. We can't save money from this year to roll it to next year, because if we don't spend it all,
Mhm.
we get less, the way I understand it.
We could take, yeah. I believe, I think that, I'm not sure, I gotta check. I thought we could take our money, and like, we could put it, like, in our 50/50 road plan, like, you know, if we had an extra 5,000 or 10,000, we could throw into there, which would help us, you know, when the bill, you know, when they do the road, cause then that would count, that money counts towards our road
Oh,
aid fund.
okay.
So that would, I'm pretty sure it does.
Sure.
If we do it that way. So that's why, if we wait to the end, you know,
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. If that works out that way,
then,
that's good.
and even if we had to throw, you take the rest or put some in the back, and then if we don't do that culvert till next year,
Sure.
you know, we could put the money in, and then it would come towards that. And I just don't wanna lose that road aid.
Right. No, yeah.
So,
Somebody else is gonna phone you some in, that's, we're gonna take.
and on that phaser report stuff, just having like next year kinda include that in with the, if he does a Whistler report.
I mean, we pay for them to do the Whistler report, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would
And it's
assume,
not crazy amount.
no, but I'm assuming the paperwork is the same for the Pacer, they're already
For the
there.
Pacers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think they've done it in the past.
Well, the Pacer stuff just kinda came back up this year at the meeting, and what happened was for the outlet programs and everything, they're requiring them now more so to have that, you know, so they know the traffic, I guess, on that there, cause so many townships are behind on their phaser reports.
Should we get on the list to get traffic counter strips put on Park Road for like Labor Day? So people think it's used like crazy?
Yeah.
What's the difference? I mean, that's the only people that use, not, I don't wanna say they only, but the vast majority of the people on that road are from the campground.
Yeah.
Or side-by-siders,
Mhm.
whipping donuts, but they're not sticklers on when that is. Labor Day, Memorial Day would be a good time to have that counted. If that's an option.
Yeah,
Is that Pacer,
I don't know
is
if I could-
it Pacer?
Pacer.
How do they spell that? Do you have, like?
It's called Pacer report,
I don't see, but.
Pacer, P-A.
PASER,
PA,
pavement surface elevation and rating.
so it's PS,
PASER.
PA, thank you. That was close.
There's one other, off this road stuff, there's just one other thing I just wanna touch on. And on our river road here, we added gravel in on that. They're doing some logging in there, and it's nothing to do with what's here, it's, I think next time, I mean, this is where I think it's important to do permitting with those loggers. I didn't realize that, when I looked over here to, a couple weeks ago, I realized that they logged, and, they're bringing them out through our subdivision road, okay? Did you notice that, there's a, cause they log now all the way around Waylands there, and there's a, public access, or a regular access right to the highway. They could have accessed right to the highway with their logs, and when they had to use that little subdivision to go through because of the, you know, that's why I think some of the people were complaining about, they wanted the truck slow down, and people slow down there.
No, that was about fishing people.
Well, fishing people,
Yeah.
you know, cause there's kids on that, I just noticed the other day, there's kids that ride their bikes on that road, we got logging trucks.
And he did call me about that and said people drive fast, but
Mhm.
there's a new, or bright looking sign that says children or kids play or something
Yeah.
at 15 miles an hour.
But
I
you,
don't know what else a guy can do about that.
but do you, I mean, they did have, I mean, we could have, if involved with that, a little bit more with a permit for them loggers, we could have had them coming out right to the highway. Because, you know, they would have told us where they were gonna access, and, there was right there, if you drive down the road, you can see there's a regular access right to 80, you know.
Yeah, so the Waylands.
It's off the Waylands there, yeah. You know, we
Yep.
should have, that way there, I'm just
Is
saying,
that
in the
same guy
future,
who's
they
getting
would have
it cut
said,
though?
huh?
That's the guy who's getting it, the person who's getting the wood cut is the one with access to the road?
I don't know how I never looked at the GPS, but the logs are all cut there at the access onto 80 now. The whole, you know, so they would have been able to drive. I'm just saying, you know, instead of risking a subdivision or something like that getting wrecked, cause we're gonna have it sooner or later by Pine View or something like that, we're gonna wanna log or do something like that, and we're gonna have to protect our subdivision some way or another, you know, our roads.
Well, like the town of Grand Rapids, I know a guy that was cutting there and they had, I don't think they had to pay anything for the permit, but they wanted a call or a text every time they were coming and going. Seemed like overkill, but I don't know. Cause where they did put the gravel in, I made a phone call by 9, or at like 9 in the morning,
Yeah,
and it was in there by 1 o'clock.
Mhm.
So, I'm pretty happy how that turned out, actually.
Yeah. But what do you think 2 years from now, is that road gonna be good, or gonna be, you know, you run 100,000-pound trucks over it, you know, and now it's ours to fix. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
It's just-
you're gonna go back after the guy for 2 years, you cut logs here, and now you gotta fix the road?
What's the,
No.
okay.
I just don't know how that works.
Well, it's the damage that happens underneath that we don't see right now, and 2 years from now with the cracks and everything. Okay, that's what happened on Park Road when, they did X, is that they ran all their trucks down on Park there, and in 2 years, we had, after the first year, we had all the dents and cracks and stuff, and it didn't take much for the road to start to go to heck.
But they get their road bond, if you don't see any, if you go down there when they're done and you don't see any damage, they get their money back, all right?
Yep.
So then in 2 years,
That's,
we're still screwed.
no, it's cause sometimes it all depends on what they're gonna run, how much weight is that, you can tell them, you can hold it for 2 years, tell them we're gonna hold your money for 2 years on it.
And
You
how
gotta
much
tell
would
them
this,
that up front though, right?
how much would this bond be?
You know,
Depends on the situation.
I mean, I don't see how that works.
Whose land is it that got cut? Is it private?
Yes. And he lives in Ohio. Originally from here. Heck of a nice guy from what I hear.
so he gives a shit about your road.
What?
I say he doesn't give a shit about our road there.
Well, I don't know. He's probably on a program, they say you gotta cut it every so many years, you gotta take the timber out or logs out now, pulp out later, whatever. But,
He's selling it from what I heard,
well, I would imagine he's selling it.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody gets their woods cut and gives it to somebody.
He's selling the land, not the wood,
Well, either way, so, but he still owns it now.
correct. 16 or 18 acres, I think,
Yeah, something like that.
yeah.
Okay, well, that's all I have for road stuff right now.
No, I just don't understand. I don't see how it's going to work. The whole money for 2 years thing, like. I just don't. If you're gonna take a bond on something, it has to be something worth taking. $2,500. Shoot, they probably put that much in gravel on the road now, so that ain't helping anybody. I understand what you're saying, but I just don't see the vehicle how it's supposed to work.
There's a thing on the internet, you punch in bonding roads, it explains a lot to you on it. That's where I heard, and down, like I said, where I came from there, we bonded our subdivisions before we drove in them. And, bonded a lot of roads. Depends on the townships and stuff, so.
Okay,
Well,
so that's good for for roads now?
Yep.
Okay. Announcements and review of correspondence.
Correspondence, we have the May WTA Wood County Unit minutes. Thanks for those of you who went and took care of everything. Small group, they said there were only 32 members in attendance, so that was a smaller group than usual.
And they did not have
Which
air conditioner on.
They did not, which is why we have extra chips and soda and water left, if anyone would like to help themselves, because I don't wanna take it all back home. Wisconsin Energy Co-op news, if anybody doesn't get this and would like to see it, it's here. And then nationwide, our OBRA investment plan for those people that are invested or vested in that. They're changing the contributions, and the structure of what that plan, where the money's gonna go into. So currently, the town has $11,547 invested. It's not our money, it belongs to the people that it's invested to, so it's not like Dexter has it, but we still are the owner and we maintain it. So that was just the correspondence that we received on that, if you wanna see any of those.
Whose money is it?
It's theirs, so it's,
So like mine, I have mine in
she
there.
has money in there from when she was the treasurer before. We don't do this anymore, but the money's still there for people who have not yet taken it out and rolled it over to a 401K or whatever they need to do. Nobody cares. Bills, we have 3 pay stubs, one for Laura and myself for the, meal and supplies for the WTA meeting. We did that for shortly just under $350, which is actually a lot cheaper than what any caterer would have done, so. Randall for his board of review, training, and the meeting. Intuit QuickBooks. Monthly bill. Wood County Highway for snow and ice control from March, for $4,885.25. Waste management bill went up to $3,026.77 because they are now charging a fuel and environmental charge of $116.41 a month. Oakdale Electric is
Keeps getting better.
$74. That just goes with it.
For some people.
Yeah, it goes.
Yeah, no, that was.
just-
Mm-mm.
And then our quarterly 941 was $152.76.
Did you send this anywhere?
Did you tell
Yeah,
Waste
just sign it
Management,
anywhere on those.
you tell them no, cause we didn't budget for it this year?
What's that?
Waste Management,
Yeah, right.
cause it's on the fire.
They really.
It's in the contract.
Budget.
That's what we do, gotta roll in something.
Can I have a motion by someone to pay those?
I'll make a motion to pay bills.
Jeff, you approve?
Yeah.
Pay those?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 162.
That goes to the Intuit one, but just the second page of that, I should have that stapled. Look, here's the
So, and that
staple.
again,
Right, here's the staple.
I'll take care of it.
That's the 941, our federal taxes that we have to pay quarterly. Yeah. I need your signature on all of these too, just yours.
We open up to public comment now?
Yes.
Anybody?
You have to vote on my permit?
Hmm.
Building permit? Okay.
You got it. That's gonna be fine. Yes, Pat?
I was surprised to find out that the planning commission met without public notice.
It was noticed.
Where?
It was, on the website, and it was at the Oasis, and it was here.
It wasn't on the website. It was on the calendar on the website. Nobody got a notice that it's supposed to be under the planning commission section.
Well, I screwed up then.
That's why it's on there. So they need to
Where
follow
it's on
this.
where?
That's why the planning commission section is on the agendas and meetings on the website.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If you go to the website and you click on agendas and meetings, scroll all the way down and there's planning commission, that's where their meetings go.
Well, this was the first time that there was a meeting for the planning and zoning, so if I screwed up, I apologize, but I have never done that before, so this was new.
Would you like to add anything to it?
To what?
The discussion that you're kind of crabby about that you missed.
Crabby?
Seems like
That you follow the law, or that they follow the law? And I'm sure Pam knows about the,
Yeah, I mean, I had, like I said.
The
I had it
agenda
on the
law.
calendar, and I had it posted at the Oasis, and it was posted here at the town hall a week in advance.
Well, there's nothing more.
It's not on there now.
Apologize, so next time it'll be in there and.
No, it's not on there now, it's over. So I took it down when I put this agenda up.
But not the correct 3 places of